Hello there. Although the route is set for a no-deal Brexit or a real bare-bones one, politicians are still saying that a deal with the EU is possible. Firstly, please subscribe and like this video to give my channel a boost, and I'm always uploading new content, so please do check back daily. And a big thanks to my Patreon and PayPal supporters, and massive thank yous go to my subscribers now that this channel has topped the 100,000 mark. Thank you all so very much. Now firstly, if you haven't heard, Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, has just put another huge swathe of England into Tier 4 and announced the discovery of yet another even nastier strain of coronavirus in the country, originating from South Africa, that he says is very worrying. And just so you know, the breaking Brexit news from The Sun right now is that a Brexit deal is imminent, and hands could be shaken over it either later today or tomorrow. And one UK source told The Sun, "No white smoke just yet, but they turned up with matches today." And the only thing left to argue about, we're told, is electric cars, and also that the deal is 2,000 pages long. Bear that in mind as I continue. With only 8 days to go until the end of the Brexit implementation period and reports that negotiators are still inching towards an agreement, UK politicians are still saying that we can get a deal over the line by the 31st of December. For example, The Standard reports today that a cabinet minister today said he was reasonably optimistic that a Brexit deal will be struck within days. Communities Secretary Robert Jenrick stressed that there were still serious areas of disagreement, but the UK and EU seem to be edging closer towards a new trade pact. But we still have no recall of Parliament that would indicate such a possibility. So if it were recalled, the next first opportunity for them to sit now, one supposed realistically, would be Boxing Day. But that would take a declaration by both sides that they'd suddenly reached an accord tomorrow, on Christmas Eve. Not sure of the likelihood of that, despite what The Sun's saying. So if a deal could be reached, then the process might stretch to the 27th to the 29th. Then factor in the drafting of the legal documents and secondary legislation, and we're looking at the 30th to force the whole lot through Parliament. Now, in a recent video, I said that there were reports that Parliament was looking at that exact scenario, but it was my understanding that an Act of Parliament could not be pushed through in one single day. Well, no, normally it can't, but there is a procedure that allows for it. As the Institute for Government explains, there is no set timescale for the passage of a bill, but it normally takes several weeks or even months. But bills can be fast-tracked, and a fast-tracked bill passes through all the normal stages of passage in each house, but on an expedited timetable. And it goes on to say, when a bill is fast-tracked, these times can be reduced, allowing it to pass in as little as a day. But it takes the full backing and will from both Houses of Parliament for that procedure to work. As an example, just look at the Ben Surrender Act from those days of the hung Parliament. The majority of MPs and peers wanted the no-deal scenario stopped, but it still took them 6 days from the 3rd of September 2019 to the 9th of September 2019 to force it through to royal assent, and we thought that pace was fast. And that was a simple act of Parliament to force the UK Prime Minister of the time, Boris Johnson, to go cap in hand to Brussels to ask for a Brexit extension until the 31st of January 2020. But now we're talking about an Act of Parliament that sets out our long-term future relationship with the European Union, a complex act with an accompanying new treaty, all to be read, understood, debated and voted on in both Houses of Parliament in one solitary day. and to force an act of this constitutional importance through would also mean both houses first voting to suspend their own respective procedural rulebooks for that day. Now, a bill is typically started in either the Commons or the Lords, but one of the tricks they can use to accelerate the process is for two identical bills to be introduced simultaneously, one in the Lords and one in the Commons. That way the debates can start immediately and run in tandem, and when the Commons sends its version to be looked at by peers, the Lords drops their version and continues with the remaining Commons version. If all this isn't a recipe for act in haste, repent at leisure, I don't know what is. But if it is to be a deal, then this hectic timetable to potential disaster could be where we're headed. And if it is, the UK government will want to be sure that the vast majority of both Houses of Parliament and the majority of the people in the country are full foursquare behind this deal being rushed through. So it seems somewhat providential that despite this new COVID strain having been about for quite a few weeks, EU countries and others have all suddenly decided to blockade the UK only, giving the UK government the chance to point to it and say, stopping those queues is down to MPs and Lords now. Already some people are blaming these queues and disruptions on Brexit. Anyway, there are still a few things left outstanding before a deal with the EU can be finalised, and it's not just fishing. According to Emerging Europe, but while the attention has been placed on the negotiation of fishing rights, it emerged on December the 22nd that other factors were also holding up a deal, including a clause that would prevent the UK from treating some EU citizens differently to others. In a series of tweets, Irish journalist Tony Connolly, RTE's Europe editor, suggested that alongside fish, other outstanding areas still not resolved include rules of origin for electric batteries, UK participation in Erasmus, and an EU demand for a non-discrimination clause. But on the fish issue, the fear is that the UK government has buckled to allow a lengthy transition phase for scaling back EU fishing vessel operations in the UK exclusive economic zone, with the argument being that fishing adds to the economy in millions, but the rest adds up to billions. Exactly the thought process that Ted Heath and his successors seem to have followed. But we won't know until we've seen the actual detail. Now, it takes two to tango, so from the EU side they will also want to agree to that same deal, remember. And one little point overlooked is that while there were queues on this side of the channel in Kent, there were reciprocal queues in France, together with shortages. Kent Online, for example, reported back on the 18th of December, a haulier from Sittingbourne making a twice-weekly trip to Belgium said 15-mile queues for lorries waiting to board ferries to Kent spell looming disaster in the new year. And Dominique Schelker, CEO of the French Retailers Association Système U, told the French cable channel BMF TV that seafood shortages were already being felt in France. Dominique Schelker estimated that there was a risk of shortages of fish and seafood, while many trucks supposed to supply France are currently blocked across the channel. And it went on to say, according to Dominique Schelker, there may be shortages on December the 23rd and 24th on several products, especially fish and seafood. There are live langoustines, scallop nuts, monkfish tails that are stuck in the trucks and that we may not have for the holidays, he warned. But we don't hear that side of the story over here, do we? Unless UK lorry drivers had started robust demonstrations, of course. I'm sure we'd hear about that. And we don't hear much about the north-south Irish border during this travel ban from the UK, do we? From the 26th of December, there will be an inter-county travel ban in Southern Ireland, and according to the former Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar, this will necessitate Gardaí presence on county borders. And the Irish Post reports, Speaking on RTE's prime time yesterday evening, Tanast Varadkar spoke about the possibility of people circumventing the UK travel ban by travelling to Belfast and making their way south. Asked if there would be roadblocks at the border to stop this from happening, Varadkar said, "I wouldn't say roadblocks, but there will be a police presence, and the Taoiseach will be speaking to the Garda Commissioner about that." There's a lot going on out there, and it's turning out to be a very politically busy Christmas, isn't it? As I said at the start, without an Act of Parliament, we look set for a no-deal Brexit or a very bare-bones agreement or set of mini-agreements. When Parliament gets recalled and Boris suddenly appears on the gogglebox, we will know a deal has been reached, and that we're on the express train to a Brexit deal, with the hope being that the driver knows what he's doing and where we're going with it. Or are we being sold down the river? Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it by following the link in the descriptions box below and supporting me on Patreon or PayPal. So what do you think about all of this? Please share and comment, and thank you for watching.